Chad, how important is it for listing agents to know their buyer types? And is there such thing as a buyer type? Can you explain that for us?
Yeah, so if you're wanting to sell your house in this dynamic market, I focus on the 3 buyer types, not the buyer identities. Those are 2 different categories, the 3 buyer types. And if your agent doesn't know how to market to the 3 buyer types, that might be a problem. And what I'm talking about is the buyer types. There's your savvy and shrewd buyer that's done this quite a few times, done some investments, maybe even did a deal with a land contract. Then there's your convenient buyer, shows up to the open house, calls the listing agent on the sign and stuff, knows that they have to get a mortgage and these are the steps and kind of the process. Then there's the other one, the unconscious buyer. The unconscious buyer is the one that shows up to the open house, has no idea how the process works, what's going on, or even at what fees are involved with any of it. And those are the 3 buyer types. So when you're selling your house, you've got to know which 3 of the buyer types that you think is probably going to buy your home in your community, in your subdivision, in your area. But that's not buyer identity. That's a whole different conversation.
Chad, that's super interesting. And I didn't even know there was buyer identities and buyer types. Man, and there's differences between the 2. I mean, I'm curious to know if anyone out there knows the difference between buyer identities and buyer types.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of something I've done with my marketing plan, but if you want to know the difference between identities and categories, identity and types for your buyer when you're selling a home, comment below. I'm curious to know what you guys think.